Hello and welcome. Have you ever heard about the law of attraction and that by employing this law of attraction we can manifest so many things in our lives that we desire? If so, do you think that we always have to employ that law of attraction, or is it possible that there could be another really important mechanism at work? Obviously, by the way I've framed that question, I believe that there is another really important mechanism at work. I'm not saying that the law of attraction doesn't exist or that it wouldn't be running in the background, but what I am suggesting is there's something else at work, and it's very important. This could also explain why vision boards work, and also could explain why anyone who talks about manifestation and the law of attraction who's worth their salt will also say, but you need to take action. You need to do things in the physical Newtonian world. To help us understand that, we'll access a couple of articles and also use this little thing here, whatever it may be. So to begin, we'll look at this article, Coherence and Frequency in the Reticular Activating System. We're just going to look at the introduction because it will give us pretty much most of what we need. So the introduction begins, the reticular activating system controls sleep and waking and fight responses. In fact, if you look at, just Google the reticular activating system, and if you look at research papers, you'll find that an awful lot of them are focused on its role in the sleep v-wake cycle. But it does other things, as we can see already, like fight v flight. So the introduction goes on. While this system provides signals that modulate our sleep-wake states, it also serves to help us respond to the world around us. For example, strong stimuli activate ascending reticular activating system projections to the thalamus and then the cortex to cause cortical activation. So reticular activating system, thalamus, cortex. Pay attention. We need to really notice this thing. It's one interpretation of what's been written there. Such stimuli simultaneously trigger descending projections that influence the spinal cord in the form of postural changes in tone resulting from the startle response. Startle response you may well have heard of before. You see it in very, very young humans as well as other humans, and induce locomotor events in the fight v flight responses. Now, what we're interested in here in this video is this ascending projection. So the RAS, reticular activating system, could be thought of as the gatekeeper in many ways. We're surrounded by so much information, and that's just not even thinking about online stuff, just generally every single day. And the brain strives to be energy efficient, to reduce, where possible, the demand that it makes in terms of that requirement for energy. So it will streamline things. And one of the ways that it streamlines things is to stop us getting overloaded, because we couldn't process every bit of information that is available to us. So something somewhere is saying, this is important, this isn't. And this important part, the decision by the reticular activating system, is passed to the thalamus, and the reticular activating system is taking in all this info and forwarding some to the thalamus. The thalamus is getting a lot of information and then broadcasting it, so to speak, to various parts of the brain. And so those two parts of the brain are working in tandem, so to speak. And if that's the case, then it may be important to understand what is important to us. So let's then skip a slightly different type of article to this one, the reticular activating system. And this is from a transcript, and it says there, they use to get the transcript a combination of speech recognition and human transcribers. It may contain errors. It actually does contain a couple of errors, but I just really like the enthusiasm that came from this individual talking about the reticular activating system. So I love the reticular activating system. It starts above your spinal cord and is about 2 inches long. It's about the width of a pencil, and it's where all your senses come in, pretty much. Well, except for your smell, sense of smell, which goes into your emotional center of your brain, but the rest of them come in through the RAS. And what the RAS does is really connect that subconscious part of the brain with the conscious part of the brain. Now, got to say, first of all, conscious and subconscious can mean different things in different situations, but I think this is a very valid description here, because in other words, it's all that noise that we're not consciously aware of. And it's basically saying, you need to be aware of this. So now we're conscious of it. So that ascending route to parts of the brain to make us say, oh yeah, this thing, that thing, those things. And also, again, just to pick up on it, because we're both learning as we go along here. It says, apart from smell, which goes into your emotional center of your brain. Yes, you may have noticed this, that you know, a classic one is the smell of cut grass, and it can often take a lot of us back in time. For me, it's the sports day, school, and some of the running events. And what appears to be happening is that the amygdala is involved in terms of emotional processing, but also as an emotional repository, like a memory, and also the hippocampus for those other types of memories. Those are both implicated, activated, and so basically the smell, olfactory bulb, and both those types of processing can take us right back in time. But everything else in terms of the senses goes to the reticular activating system, although a couple of strands do appear to go in terms of smell to the thalamus as well. But that's by the by. But anyway, hopefully you get the picture. Most of what's coming in, but not smell, is essentially being processed by the reticular activating system. And then the little transcript goes on. So, for example, how this works is if you were to look around the room. So just look around your room just now. We'll try and do this together. And look for the colour blue. So actually isn't that prevalent here in front of me. Yeah, there is something blue over there when I focus on it. Yeah, and there's an LED down there which is blue. Come to think about it, I genuinely didn't notice that before. And if I look at the computer screen, then a couple of the icons are blue as well. Do you have some examples? So have you looked around your room? Do you have examples of anything blue? It's certainly not the sky today where I am. And then this article goes on, like Denise's scarf, for example. So we have to presume that when this exercise was done live, Denise had a blue scarf. And then I think there's a typo, but the use of scarf is always there. I think it means, but Denise's scarf was always there. It was in the room before we thought about doing this little exercise, as well as other blue things that you identified, I identified, maybe you identified. But what the reticular activating system does is then bring to light that which we're looking for. And another example of that, a classic one, is you buy a new car. It doesn't have to be a brand new car, it's a newish car. Let's say it's a Mini and it's red, and then what do you notice on the roads? Once you've bought it or when you're thinking about buying it, you notice a lot of red Minis. My goodness, so many people have these red Minis. And this effect can go on and on and on. You may be doing something, daydreaming, or even paying attention to a task, and then if you have the radio on in the background, if you're one of those people who can work with the radio on in the background, then suddenly you hear the name of somebody who's, a musician who's in the news right now, Taylor Swift. So, Taylor Swift. And if you're a Taylor Swift fan or you're interested, then your attention is immediately orientated towards that name and you pay attention. The task sort of disappears for a moment at least, and you focus on what is this radio person saying about Taylor Swift. Same thing could happen if it's a football team you're interested in. Same thing can happen when you're scrolling online. Same thing happens when we're out and about. In other words, what we're interested in, what we're paying attention to, and what we have paid attention to Well, that reticular activating system is saying there's something important about this. You need to know about it because you've thought about it. Maybe you've daydreamed about it. Maybe you've dreamt about it. You certainly think about it a lot. Maybe you interact with it. Therefore, this is important to you, so I should tell you about it. I should get that ascending root activated to go, hello, this thing is here in the environment. I'm bringing you to your attention through, in the midst of all this noise, through the fog. So then, if you're with me so far, what that implies is that if we have a goal or goals or things that we're interested in, it's highly likely, if we're goal setting properly, that we've been thinking about it, we've been paying attention to it. Think then of a vision board. What are people encouraged to do? Well, you draw things, you write things down, you get photographs, you stick them on a bit of paper or put them on your screen in your laptop, and it may be the castle that you want to renovate, or the mini that you want to buy, or the holiday that you want to go on, or the fitness level that you want to achieve. And what do? Well, we imagine those things. We imagine us doing those things, perhaps having those things. Maybe in our imagination we use quite a lot of our senses. We attempt to feel what it would feel like, certainly in terms of the emotions. And as an aside, some people suggest that if we visualize having achieved something really well, it can decrease our motivation because we have all the satisfaction right there and then. Well, I have a slight issue with that theory. It could be the case, but I think if it is the case, it's for the minority of people, because most of us cannot visualize something, feel something to the extent that it is like reality. And again, the idea being that if we could, we'd have the experience anyway, so why pursue the goal? We are already experiencing it in our imagination. And as I say, I don't think that most of us, I could be wrong, but I don't think that most of us are able to visualize and imagine things in that level of detail, that level of experience that is akin to reality, like an advanced simulated reality, augmented reality experience, immersive video game experience, whatever. I don't think that applies to most of us. So, therefore, it's not going to change our motivation, but we can begin to imagine it, begin to visualize it, begin to feel it. And what is that doing? It's saying to us, our brain, this is important. You're really considering this. So that then, when we are out and about and doing things, we'll tend to notice something that's related to it. And I would link back to an earlier video that I've made about the luck factor, Richard Wiseman's work on luck. And he talks about a lot of things that can increase our level of luck. One of them is networking. It's going to events, it's engaging with people. And I'll use that as an example of the thing that the people who are worth the salt should be saying when they talk about the law of attraction. You need to do something. Law of attraction may be quantum-based, probably is. And yes, everything's quantum, it's happening all the time around us and part of us, but it's a Newtonian world as well. And so in this version of reality, we have to do things. And if you imagine that you're really interested in something and you're scrolling and you've been setting a goal, visualizing it, what will you tend to spot? The reticular activating system will go, oh, you need to hear about this, you need to see this, you need to think about this. So ping, let's send that message so you are made aware of it. And at that point, oh, there's an event to talk about this new fitness club that's being proposed in your area. That's when we need to take action. Go along, join in, find out what it is, or join a gym, sign up for those sessions. It could be the car. Well, there's a competition to win a car. Well, we can see there's a competition, but if we decide, well, no, I'm just going to stick to manifesting it out of thin air, that might work, but hedge your bets, Newtonian world, as well as quantum. Enter the competition. And if there's an event where you want to meet people, let's say it's run by people who renovate castles, again, if there is such a group, and then go along, contact them, get more information, and from that, other connections could be made. And okay, maybe those examples don't apply to you, but hopefully you get the gist of it, that we need to do stuff. But this is why those vision boards can be so powerful, because, of course, if we're ruminating, cogitating, imagining, thinking, feeling, then we're more likely to spot those things out there, those little chance signs that, oh, hold on a second, that's interesting, let me go and follow that up. But the key is to take action, to do something. It doesn't mean to say that if you practice employing the law of attraction, that a guitar won't appear in your garden. Maybe it fell off the back of a lorry. And that doesn't mean to say that things cannot happen in ways that we don't understand how they happen. But I would suggest that whilst that's one route to market, so to speak, why not use something that's inbuilt as well and physically do something? And I think that it's an important point when people set goals and they use vision boards and they also imagine and visualize things in as much detail as they can muster with as much emotional content as they can muster, that physically we need to do stuff as well. And if nothing else, it will increase the speed at which you're likely to achieve that goal. Is it guaranteed? Absolutely not. Is it more guaranteed by doing something, which is employing the reticular activating system and taking action on top of that signal that you need to pay attention to this? Yes, I think it will increase the chances of us getting those things that we want, that we wish for, that we desire. And of course, you may have been wondering what this was. Yes, it does look a little bit like, at least to me, that it could be one of those devices that many people have in their homes, that you say the name of the device and it answers and searches the web for you, etc. It isn't that. Maybe you're imagining that it's some sort of Bluetooth speaker. That's what I thought it was when I saw it the other day when somebody was tidying out some bits and pieces. But it's not that. It is, in fact, a hockey puck. 10 out of 10 if you thought that's what it was, because that's what it is. And yeah, I didn't go for that explanation. Once I looked at it and checked out a couple of things on the side of it, I thought, now I know what it is. But initially, when I was sort of looking at it, glancing at it, that's not where I went. And that's because of a thing called, well, in part, pattern recognition. So pattern recognition is so we look at things and make assumptions of what they actually are. And if I was into hockey in a big way, I would probably almost certainly have recognized this right away if I was interested in getting one of these little devices that search the web and take vocal commands, etc. Maybe I would have thought it was that. If I'm interested in little speakers that are Bluetooth, which I am kind of, then maybe I would have thought it was that. And I did initially. That was my primary thought, was, is it one of those little speakers? But no. So why is that important? Because once we pay attention, once we are visualizing, imagining things, experiences, the goal that we want, the car we want, the house that we want, etc., what we do, not only are we saying this is important to us, is we're looking at all different versions of it. We're getting used to recognizing it. So in the mix, we may see stuff that otherwise we wouldn't see. We may spot things that otherwise we wouldn't spot. And that's another way that the reticular activating system can help us cut through the noise. And it is, in this case, connected to pattern recognition, which is something that pretty much all of us do. But our pattern recognition is based on experience and interest. Anyway, I hope that helps. Let me know what you think. If you've been listening this far into the video, thank you very much indeed. If you've subscribed to this channel, again, thank you very much indeed. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. It does make a big difference, particularly on this platform. It makes a difference in many ways. Either way, Thank you very much for your time. Bye for now.